This mod is insane. From your standard dinos to Apex Prime degenerates who will one-shot you and your tames. Let's see how far a 5,000 plus hour Ark player can make it before going insane on Ark's hardest mod, while also playing it for the first time ever. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dino Overhaul X. I spawn in, day one, asking myself, what the hell am I getting into? But I scratch my wrist to prepare myself both mentally and physically, immediately kidnap some Infinity Stones and fight Professor Bitch to the death. Harvest some fiber from the nearby fauna and craft my first stone pickaxe. Harvest some flint and craft a stone hatchet, and I physically assault another tree and craft myself a thatch foundation as well as a storage box. And while I place it down, a massive heathen had spawned overhead. Do I even want to know? Anyway, I decided to absolutely obliterate Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for a sixth time to calm my nerves. Crafted myself a bow and some arrows, walked down the beach and noticed some degenerates, and then decided to shoot down a lowlife for hide. Crafted a drug lab, and crafted the Doc's Book of Smart so I could get some knowledge about the mod. Now there was all sorts of different armors and tiers of dinos, so I definitely had my work cut out for me. So I crafted Ebola, chained up some degenerates, and they had the audacity to spit on me, so I sent both of those heathens to the Shadow Realm. And harvested the rancheros. I then made a trip into the forest and noticed I was too inferior to tame this parasaur, and that it was level 495. Anyway, all of the herbivores in this mod are passive tames, and your survival level depends on how high of a level dino you can tame. Now I was actually able to tame this level 200. And while guiding her back to base, she got stuck between two trees.
Robert, help.
Anyway, once I freed her, I got her back to base and named her Perry. I crafted her a saddle and then let her fulfill her dreams as being a humble farmer. I then tamed a very good boy while taking a walk down the beach, showed a thieving birdman my Ebola skills, and then eliminated him from existence. Then on day 2, I opened the worst supply crate I've ever seen.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
And while heading back, I noticed this. Pteranodons are also passive tames, so I gave her the finest cuts of dodo. And while going up the mountain looking for crystal, I noticed this. I'm once again too inferior to tame something I want. Saw some lowlifes that wanted to decapitate me and tamed a new friend who definitely won't die. And when I returned, I named the Pteranodon Terry. I gave the goodest slicer some pets to give everyone some bonus XP, and then crafted up some night-night juice. I tracked some trilobites for chitin, murdered some spitting heathens for hide, crafted Terry a saddle, and once I finally took to the skies, I found this castle up in the snow which I saw as a potential base location. And then as I was landing for Stam, this happened. Yeah, Terry lasted a whole 5 minutes under my care, and this just shows how this playthrough is gonna go. And of course I also got deleted. Yeah, everything in this mod is extremely fast.
I'm fast as fuck, boy!
And now knowing that they can catch me in a matter of 0.2 seconds, it was time to rethink my approach. And after running past some very large degenerates, I was able to get my stuff back and then finally harvest the crystal Terry lost her life for. And while trying to make it back to my fob, yep, I ran. I eventually did make it back and crafted some soul traps before making sure all of my tames were safely inside them. Afterwards, I decided to pack my bags and move before those raptors got any closer. Anyway, I needed some meat, so I tried to bowl this dilo and realized it was not a regular dilo. It was in fact an apex. So I decided to reduce the local dodo population instead. After gathering enough hide, I crafted an awesome spyglass and then tamed this PT on the morning of day 3. I threw on Terry's old saddle and took off to my new base location. And after a short flight, I had arrived. Once inside, I placed down my foundation, my drug lab, and my storage box, harvested some flint from the debris laying around, and crafted a campfire so I could make some food. I physically assaulted another tree, harvested some berries and fiber from the nearby bushes, and then set out on the Pteranodon to assert my dominance over the wildlife. I also tamed a female and a male trike for farming purposes, launched some arrows into this innocent parasaur, and harvested his entrails And on the way back to base, I tamed another PT so I could have plenty of backups. When I finally returned, I crafted a forge as well as a trike saddle, harvested a ton of berries, and realized trikes harvest stone. That's not overpowered at all. So I transferred all the metal and wood into my new forge, and on day 4 I crafted a smithy and placed down a stone foundation with the smithy down, and I crafted a metal hatchet as well as a pickaxe and a crossbow. I then went around naming the dinos. The female PT got the name of Terabyte, and the male Terrence. I then tried to take out this gigantic ant, which almost caused Terrence to take an early morning nap. Then I went back and harvested a bunch of the rocks laying around the castle, and after doing some research, I learned that apex dinos drop tungsten and titanium, which I need to craft the dock's crafting station. So I set out to hunt down some dilos. Once I arrived, I decided to give the male trike the name of Trike Wazowski, who then deleted the nearby apex dilo from existence, as well as another which also gave me another key item for this mod, the Dock Superior Bow. And returning to my humble abode, I crafted a feeding trough and named our female trike Sarah. I crafted some questionable substances as well as some Dock's arrows, and on day 5 I crafted a sickle for better fiber harvesting. And then laced my Dock's arrows with melatonin, put Trike Wazowski in a Pokeball, and set out on Terrence to tame an apex dilo. But I had to kite a degenerate off a cliff first.
Bye, have a great time.
And I was gonna tame this one, but there was too much bullshit around, and I eventually found this one who was basically by herself, and for some reason she decided to go cliff jumping, and I found her again and began reading her some very convincing bedtime stories. And then she started to run. So I hopped on Terrence and began pursuit, but she was just too fast.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Eventually she got way too tired to keep running, so I fed her some kibble. A few minutes later, she was tamed. And then I noticed this. Mod Dev clearly has a sense of humor, so I put her in a Pokeball and hunted down an apex turtle who got deleted. Anyway, I returned home and unloaded my pockets, and on day 6, I decided to put some more foundations down inside the castle to expand my crafting station. So I harvested up some thatch and crafted a couple. Afterwards, I harvested some oil, robbed some beavers blind who couldn't have cared less, returned home and made some spark powder, and then dove into the depths to collect some silica pearls, deleted another apex turtle, make that 2, and I was going to harvest the soul of another on day 7 when I saw Greg being a menace to society. So after removing Bowser from existence, a lowlife stole right out of my pocket. He got it. And as I was flying home, I accidentally pressed E. Fun times. I respawned, and honestly, I was just kind of shocked at what just happened, so I just stood there for a minute and then beeline to get my stuff. And of course, died again. And reincarnated for the 17th time. I eventually made it back to base and crafted a gravestone to get my stuff back, and I went to craft another PT saddle to go and find a birdman named Terrence, but I was missing chitin, which ends up being an issue for me for a decent chunk of this run. I then remembered there was an ant bigger than my dog just chilling outside the base, so after almost deleting myself, I eventually took him down and then robbed that man of his skin and internal organs. And on the way back to base, I found a golden birdman, which supposedly gives really good loot, but that 35k health will have to wait. And on day 8, I almost made it back to base, but got deleted by a saber-toothed degenerate. Also by an ant. Why I haven't placed down a bed yet, I don't even know. I eventually did make it back and got my stuff before making another Pteranodon saddle, which I put on Philip's spinal cord and set out to find Terrence. If I eventually did, and dude is definitely traumatized. Anyway, once I made it up to him, I whistled follow and guided him safely to the ground, where I put Philip in a Pokeball. And jumped on Terrence and got him somewhat safely home. And from the inside of my base, I stared at Doug being absolutely massive degenerate. Afterwards, I crafted a fabricator with my bare hands, and lo and behold, I finally crafted a bed. I then gathered some berries with the Sarah's horns, found an Anki saddle and a purple drop, and while hunting more small apexes... Yep. I have no words. So I got my stuff back, repaired my armor, and then allowed Philip and Terabyte to make some more eggs. Crafted some electronics for a generator and some cables as well. Once the Jenny was placed down, I fired her up and went to hunt down an apex spider, only to see this fine gentleman. Shit. I decided it wasn't worth the risk and went back to craft an RG trap. I placed it down on the cliff edge and then proceeded to grab the attention of the one that was not too far away. And unfortunately, Philip was not fast enough. I then proceeded to fall off a cliff. Oh shit. And got deleted. Twice. No! I can't. So I crafted a rifle with a long neck, queued up some spark powder and some ammo, got the RG's attention, and on the third attempt it was in the trap. So after giving it 4,000 cc's of NyQuil, he finally decided to take a nap. And he's out. I then shoved 5 pieces of uncooked dodo into his unconscious trachea. And at the dawn of day 10, Hawk Hogan was tamed. So I crafted up a saddle and set out to get some crystal where I noticed this degenerate. That's mildly concerning. I found a pretty good armor upgrade and a purple drop, and found loads of crystal in the cave right outside my base. I then attempted to tame this Anki, but she had a death wish, apparently decided to go towards the dragon that was outside the base.
Bye, have a great time.
I then watched an Apex Dilo get sent to the Shadow Realm, so I took the loot. Hawk Hogan almost got deleted by an insect. Oh, that hurt like a motherfucker. So he took his frustrations out on his inferiors. I returned him and hid from Doug's Apex brother. And on day 11, I harvested some obsidian so I could craft some polymer and turn that into an air conditioner. Then proceeded to hatch a birdman named Terrence Jr. Took Sarah out for a stone and metal run and sent Master Oogway back to the spirit realm along with his twin brother, and got a very nice Doc's trank rifle. Returning home, I was finally able to craft the Doc's crafting station, as well as a flex set that isn't going to do me much good. Made an S+ crafting station and queued up some more foundations, moved all of the dinos upstairs, and extended my floor. And the morning of day 12, I threw out Sarah and harvested a few trees. I placed down some gates at the doors, crafted a large trap door, and placed it at the topside entrance. Now I had all the windows and doors blocked, so there was no possibility of Doug coming by and obliterating everything I own. I then crafted some lamps to brighten up the rooms, and on day 13 I crafted an auto turret for some defense, placed it down on one of the towers outside, made an upgrade station, and salvaged things I didn't need for materials. And while going to get some obsidian, this happened. Yeah, that about made me quit right there. After staring at my Jabro's lifeless floating corpse, a flaming boulder flew right past my face. Holy shit! And I got deleted. So I repaired my armor and placed down a generator for my outside turret. Afterwards, I crafted some bullets to go in it. Scouted out some new potential tames and harvested a bunch of stone and metal and crafted more gates for another RG trap. I got some more Pteranodon eggs for backups and set the RG trap on day 14. After leading one into the trap and rating her the best bedtime story she's ever heard, was tamed. And she needed a boyfriend, so I KO'd this low-level male. I successfully got them back to base and crafted a saddle and let these two lovebirds make a sacrifice. I mean, child.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And Hawk Hogan Jr. was born. Yes, I am aware this wasn't his kid. And after resuming my recording and stream, we're frozen for 38 minutes. Has this been frozen the entire time? Or am I just stupid? Anyway, after taking down an Apex Raptor, I started building pipes up to my base, only to have Terrence Jr. get deleted by a degenerate. And while running, I ended up getting stuck, and this Carno and the Saber just wouldn't attack. No, not the Saber. but he eventually came to his senses.
Wait.
Anyway, I hatched another RG egg and it didn't have the right stats, so sacrifice. Did, however, get another female with the correct stats. I then flew out to finish the pipes, only to get jump scared by Doug. However, he has a certain range he has to stand because of this. Doug has a nest, which means unless I attack, he can't leave. Or if I get too close to the nest, apparently.
Oh no. I fucked up. Yep.
After respawning, I kited him a little further away.
Okay, that's fine.
And then harvested some crystal to make a greenhouse. And slapped on some foundation, just like you should slap that subscribe button, because apparently only 15% of you guys watching are subscribed. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it, and we are trying to hit 100 subs by Easter. Anyway, once the greenhouse was finished, I put down the tap and planted the crops on day 17. I sacrificed a bird that was too inferior for the flock. I KO'd and tamed an apex dodo, as well as another, and tamed a Phiomia for fertilizer.
Oh, but only needed one.
I got them back to base, and I don't think my head is supposed to go in there.
I forgot I could just do that. It looks goofy as hell.
I then set the dodos to breed because I needed their eggs for the pygmy treats, which I will explain what pygmies are in a bit. And with some veggies grown, I was able to craft some of the treats, and I decided to go for this pygmy RG. So I ran up to it and placed the treats in its inventory and ran. Because the tame does have a chance to fail and has a high chance to spawn a turd-throwing dickhead, which will one-shot me. Anyway, I kited Harambe's cousin into the water, and when I got back, the pygmy it had tamed. So I led it safely to the lighthouse, and basically what pygmies are miniature versions of their counterparts that give buffs to you and your tamed creatures. And they can evolve into apex pygmies to make the buffs stronger, and can evolve one step further into apex primes, which are pretty strong. And on day 19, I tamed a male apex dilo, and crafted a bunch of forges back home, and went on a very extensive metal run around the base. Gathered some more silica pearls, and was on my way home when, yeah.
Oh, shit.
I was getting pretty frustrated at this point. And while looking for trilobites, I got jump scared by this prime scorpion so bad I took an underwater nap.
This is fine.
Once I came to, I deleted an entire generation of trilobites. Returning home, I made up some cementing paste and enabled mating on the dilos because I needed their eggs for the treats needed for the pygmy to evolve. So I crafted one up, and it failed. And Doug decided to go get milk, so his egg was left all alone, and yet again, I was too inferior for something I wanted. So I punched a pig in its ribcage and got deleted. I then went to tame a scorpion, and this carno decided it wanted lunch. So I harvested trilobites instead, and figured death was way better than the trek home, so I drowned myself. I found a gauntlets upgrade and a purple drop, and then found myself in the desert where I KO'd and tamed 2 scorpions, also deleted some morellatops for hide. On the way home, I noticed an apex wyvern nest had spawned, and I will definitely have to get that later. Anyway, I threw out the scorpions at home and tried to enable mating on them, which unfortunately for me, mating for scorpions was disabled on this mod. So I just got rid of them. And then got deleted at the wyvern nest that was outside. Anyway, I went to get its attention to kite it into the turret, and it worked. I ran outside because the shooting had stopped, so I figured the wyvern was dead, but I looked everywhere for a body and found nothing, so I assumed the coward just ran away. So not learning from last time, I tried the nest on foot and got deleted. So I made some backup RGs and raided the beavers again for the cementing paste, tamed an Anki or 2, harvested some obsidian, and made a bunch of poly. While waiting for that, I went on a flint run with an Anki, and finally made a chem bench. I queued up some max strength NyQuil and a ton of gunpowder. I also crafted a Dox Forge, which is basically an indie forge, but you get it much earlier on and is much cheaper. I took Sarah on a metal run, crafted another tree, and attempted to evolve the Pygmy RG again, which it actually worked. I then crafted a bunch of bullets as well as some electronics, and crafted a heavy turret because I had a plan for that Apex Wyvern. I picked up the auto turret from outside, crafted a metal foundation, some walls to protect the generator, placed down the Jenny, popped in the gas, and placed down the turrets nearby, split some bullets between the two, and caught the attention of the Wyvern. And this plan worked to perfection. The loot was quite underwhelming, but we did it. I jumped over to the egg to claim my prize, which I was now level 127, so I could pick it up. And then I noticed something. Doug had gone out to get milk again, so after many failed attempts of getting on the nest, I finally got it. I returned home and immediately threw them out, and I had to craft another AC for Doug's picky-ass kid, but once I placed it down, both eggs were incubating just fine. First popped the Wyvern, and then baby Doug. And then after quite the wait, Doug was a full-grown man, or woman. And I realized I can't even ride them. I need prime kibble, which you can only get from killing prime wilds, which are crazy powerful. So I decided to craft some Dox poison grenades because these deal crazy torpor, and I wanted some Apex Rexes, so I set out towards the desert, thinking what could possibly go wrong. So I wanted to go for this one, but this asshole was way too close. So I found a different one, got his attention, started lobbing the nades at it, which made my RG decide it was nap time. But yeah, I basically just wasted all of the grenades. I needed a trap. I arrived back home, disappointed, made some more gasoline in the forge, and set the dodos to breed so I could make more pygmy treats. I harvested a bunch of berries and fed stem berries to the Phiomia for fertilizer. And I forgot I had left the dodos on breeding, so I came upstairs to a bunch of children. And they were all males, so after waiting for a bit, I finally had quite a few eggs, so I turned them all into taming treats, so I set out to tame Harambe's nephew. On the way, I found a very good ghillie mask. I arrived, ran up, and shoved some candy into his pocket. And booked it out of there, and of course it failed, so you know what that means.
Failed. Yep.
Prime Dickhead has arrived. After kiting that man over a ledge, I was able to wait patiently for the pygmy to tame, which it eventually did, so I put him on my shoulder and left.
What's up, buddy?
But as I threw him down to put him in a ball,
Don't need you eating all that.
yeah. Bro tracked me down from halfway across the redwoods.
Oh, fuck.
And after running the entirety of the forest, I finally found a decent spot to put the pygmy away and proceeded to get deleted.
Well, that was,
Back home, I murdered an inferior birdman for hide and crafted a chainsaw to better harvest their entrails. Queued up a bunch more gunpowder and then proceeded to murder every single apex degenerate I could find.
it. Oh, now you're running, huh?
I also had a very close encounter with Harambe's stepfather,
Oh, fuck.
and deleted a mantis who was trying out for the swimming Olympics. I harvested some more crystal and
Nice.
went to the
Make
Redwoods
more
Castle to
prime
harvest some rare
seed.
mushrooms,
I
but
don't
this
even
happened.
know what the fuck that means. Oh, fuck, you gotta be kidding me. Yep.
I honestly logged off after that, and when I logged in the next day, I added a rare mushroom seed mod so I could just plant them, so that's what I did. Afterwards, I also crafted a bit of melatonin, and crafted 40 Dox poison grenades, as well as some stone foundations, harvested some wood with Sarah, crafted some double door frames, as well as some ramps, hatched a couple more RG eggs, and grabbed the poison grenades, and now I was ready to tame the Apex Rexes. So I set out once again towards the desert, and once I arrived, I kited that man off the cliff and away from all of the psychopathic degenerates, where I built my trap, praying that it would work. And it was done without any interruptions, so I got his attention and he fell in perfectly. So I started lobbing grenades, one after the other, until finally...
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I also hit him with a metabolism dart so his food would drain, and after just a few seconds...
Let's go.
I then went to tame this one, but this prime wild degenerate wouldn't leave me alone. After a bit of waiting, it eventually left, so I set up the trap again. However, while trying to kite it in, I was a little too close to the ground.
Oh, shit.
But she eventually got in, so... Sleepy time, metabolism dart, shoving in my meat, and friendship. And then offing myself to get back to base faster.
Instant death.
Once I reincarnated, I threw out the Rexes and allowed them to procreate. And then named the female Rexy and the male George. I threw down a couple eggs, out they popped, and neither had the right stats, so I turned them into a hat. After tending to my crops, I got some more eggs and managed to get a female with the correct stats. I then crafted a Doc's purple treat and fed it to the mini Harambe, who loved it so much he turned into a sphere.
Perfect.
Afterwards, I upgraded a Rex saddle and then scouted out this cave because I needed a bigger spot to live. I thought it looked pretty good, so I picked a fight with the local degenerates, and of course I won. I threw out a Rex in here and placed it on aggressive so it would murder any heathens that might spawn while I'm moving. I eventually got everything over here and built a platform for my crafting station and storage. And once I had everything set up again, I placed down my crop plots and obliterated all of Rockwell's children with Sarah's horns. And went to go farm some wood, but this asshole was right outside the base. I managed to sneak past him and harvest some of the trees above the base, and once I got back, I loaded some of the wood into the forge to turn into charcoal, crafted a behemoth gate to block the entrance, and then grabbed some taming treats and set out to look for more pygmies, which I actually found this dode right above the base, and which the first treat had failed, and surprisingly, the prime dickhead was nowhere to be found. And the second treat was successful, so I picked her up and dropped her off back at base, and then I hatched a couple Apex Rexes because I needed an army. And while they were raising, I fed our pygmy dode a treat, which she enjoyed so much she also turned into a sphere. I then had a full army of 10 Apex Rexes raising and preparing to go to war. I then took one of the Rexes out to get levels and get a bunch of pelt needed for the saddles. And when I returned, I had enough materials to make 9 more saddles, which I upgraded most of them for just a bit more protection. And then I put them all in Pokeballs and set out towards the desert yet again. Once I set foot on the ground, I put the RG away to keep it safe and threw out the Rexes, who immediately deleted it undead Birdman. And we went around killing all of the Apexes we could until I saw this.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
So yeah, I ran. But the Titan Queen decided to keep moving, so I was able to go on. And further down the beach, I noticed an Apex Greg who had a nest nearby. So I prepared to fight and unfortunately did not see the prime mantis that was right next to me. I'm sure you know what happened next. When I returned, the mantis was gone, and I thought maybe the Rexes had killed it, which they definitely did not, so knowing this game, it probably fell under the map anyway. I got back on the Rexes and prepared to fight Greg, which was a terrible mistake. When I returned, Greg had decided to leave my Rexes alone and go back to his nest, so after recovering the squad, I decided just to go for Rexes. He got deleted, and then offed myself to get back home. When I respawned, I fed the mini Harambe a bunch of special primates, and he turned into another sphere.
Got that
Which
first
from that
try.
sphere popped a big green monkey man who I promptly named the Hulk.
The Hulk.
This man was a turd-throwing, fiber-gathering machine. I took him above the base to test him out, and that was a lot of damage.
God.
And then this happened.
What is that? What's going on here?
I was so shocked, I literally just sat in the respawn menu for about 5
Where?
minutes.
The actual hell did that guy come from?
I then went and picked up my turrets from the old base and placed a heavy down on the ledge, gave it power, and crafted some more bullets. Shot that man right in his dome piece. Got my RG killed and promptly got removed from existence. And once again, trying to get back up there. Then I took a PT above the base, got my RG saddle back, shot him again, abandoned my child, narrowly avoided an overpowered spear, and finally got that man to fall off the edge. And decided to do the same. Once I respawned, I thought bro was stuck, but after I crafted some more bullets, went back out and he was not there. I just barely saw him through the mist, and unfortunately my turret was not able to shoot him, so I went back to my PvP roots and made a hatch frame, a pillar, placed down a ceiling at the bottom of the pillar as well as the hatch frame, made a few grapples, and placed my turret right on the corner. I grappled up, put my RG away safely, and put a bullet right into his ribcage. Wish the turret could easily hit him now, but the dude was healing way too fast for the turret to do anything. Anywho, I gave up on that and got some more Rex eggs, as well as hashed a bunch of RGs so I could have as many backups as I could ever need, and hashed some Apex Dodos for more fertilized egg production, and made a bunch of pygmy taming treats, and set out to tame one of Harambe's many children. Once I found him, I gave him some candy, and he tamed on the first try. I also found this other pygmy RG who also tamed on the first treat. Once I was back at base, I took down this Apex Rock Drake for the loot, and bred the Dilos for evolution treats. And then went on a metal run with Sarah, then crafted a very useful Dox mining forge, which mines up all of the common resources like metal, crystal, and the Dox metals. Afterwards, I threw out all of my grown Rexes, and leveled them all up to get ready to fight. And I raided the beavers once again, and decided to pop more Rex eggs to expand my army. Crafted some more Rex saddles, and then found this manticore nest with no Greg in sight, so I adopted his child. And threw the egg out near the ACs to hatch. 3 minutes later, baby Greg was born. And while he was growing, I set out to the desert to hunt down more apexes. I took them down one by one, and while I was walking along the beach, I had a nice surprise. I saw a green outline appear and noticed it was one of my Rexes.
Excuse me?
So I potted him up, and I went to go for this Apex Rex, and this happened. Yeah, I had no idea where that came from, and then looking back at the footage, I saw this. A prime wild deathworm had just murdered me and my Rex. So after I respawned, I threw out my Rexes to prepare to fight an Apex Wyvern to let some frustration out.
died. Let's go.
The apex wyvern was dead. So I claimed my prize and tried to trick shot a Carno. Back home, I threw out the wyvern egg and then proceeded to get distracted and just leave the egg unattended. I fought a giant monkey man in the snow who proceeded to get absolutely clapped. I took down an apex Yeti and another before letting a mammoth murder me, because I was way too heavy to fly. And when I respawned, I finally realized...
Dude, I completely forgot about you.
And Greg was also a full-grown man. I also crafted a Doc's bunker just to see what it was, and that was pointless. Afterwards, I killed a few Apex Rexes for loot, and in the mess of all the bags around, I saw an Apex Dragon had recently fallen, so of course I took the loot, because it was a massive armor upgrade. Once I returned, I unloaded my pockets and evolved my Pygmy Argy. Chomped on a few rock traits, and fed the Apex Pygmy a bunch of special prime meat to evolve it. I now had a very powerful Prime Argy who would help out tremendously. I also evolved the Mini Harambe after many failed attempts, and hatched an Apex Rock Drake egg I forgot to unpause my recording for. I then tested out my Prime Argy who could summon minions to absolutely demolish a lot of different creatures. I tried it on this Prime Wild Doe as well, but with it having this, there was no way I could kill it. I also tried this Prime Raptor, having that, with an AoE attack, makes this nearly impossible. But I wanted to see if this newfound power could take down a Golden Dodo, so I lined up the shot, summoned my minions, and whistled attack. We did it.
Victory Screech!
And as far as the loot,
Sweet Jesus.
I also swiftly took down this Apex Blood Wyvern and attempted to kill this Golden Pteranodon, but it was just way too fast. And at this point, Apexes were just no match for this Argy. So I decided to fight this Prime Wild Leech, and after the first wave of minions, it lost a pretty good chunk of health. So I sent another, and another, and another, until finally... And after eliminating some finned degenerates, I was attacked by a Shadowmane X. But the Argy took care of it pretty quickly. After claiming the loot from the leech, a wild mega degenerate had to ruin my day. Yep, that was a Mega Rex launching souls at me. Once I respawned, I evolved our Mini Harambe and he turned into a big red floating monkey man. Afterwards, I went to tame another Pygmy Argy, but it was under the map. AAA game, by the way. So after totally not ghosting under the map and taming it, I gave it some treats and it failed to evolve, and after threatening to sacrifice him to Harambe, he finally turned into a sphere. I evolved him again, and this time we got a unique Prime Argy, which uniques basically have double the stats of the regular primes, so this was huge. Anyway, I got some kills with him and leveled him up to 100k health, and I would just put the rest of the levels into melee. I then got an R2-D2 from this drone summoning artifact that I thought was pretty cool, and apparently I can pick it up, which looks goofy as hell. I then upgraded the Argy saddle and headed for the desert to try to take down a Prime Dodic. With Harambe, of course, because I was not risking losing that Argy. And that went about as well as you'd expect it to. Yeah, the Monkey Man speed definitely was not good enough for that. So I took down another Golden Dodo, claimed my loot, and spotted a giant turkey creating a snowstorm. And I picked up some of the presents it was leaving behind before giving this tiny Bigfoot some candy and forcing him to be my friend. Back home, I made an industrial cooker, because I was running out of kibble, so I made some basic kibble and turned Harambe's smallest nephew into a ball. And afterwards, he was a full-grown man. And then I took down this Prime Wild Scorpion and got some more Doc's armor, which gives you buffs depending on the piece and the set, and if you have a complete set, those buffs get increased.
I'll take those.
And I ended up salvaging this Tech Megalodon saddle, which was way overpowered.
82 element.
I then murdered another Prime Scorpion, and this one finally had it. Prime Kibble, which is needed to ride Doug, Greg, and the Wyverns. So I gave it to Greg. I had to log off after that, but once I came back, I exited my base to this. Fun times. After respawning, the bee had left my RG alone, so I was able to get him back. I took down another leech, and another, and unfortunately no prime kibble from either of them. And I forgot to unpause my recording again, but I did take down a prime Dode with Harambe, and I also took down a prime wild gorilla, and almost got roasted by an apex fire wyvern. But that didn't last long.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. You're fucking right. You made a mistake, you little bitch.
Anyway, after all of my prime kills, I had a few pieces of prime kibble and a ton of other loot. So I fed one kibble to Doug and tried to fly him, but he's a little, thick. So I threw him out outside and hopped on his back and started a forest fire. I then noticed I got this Giga X summoner from a prime drop. So I ate it and out popped a very strong Giga. Now this guy does get a few abilities like the Blood Rage that the Karcha gets, so this could be very good. I also decided to craft a tech rep, and yes, I know technically I'm supposed to beat the bosses for that, but I didn't know that, so when I come back to this mod, eventually I will disable auto Ingrams. Anyway, with the tech rep down, I made a generator and powered it up so I no longer needed gasoline. I also made some dedicated storage boxes as well as an S+ storage intake which sorts my inventory for me. I then harvested some oil, made a Giga saddle, and made a few vaults as well. Also made a refrigerator, and took the Giga out for a test drive, and he was pretty strong, but quite underwhelming for being a drop from a prime. I then wanted to tame this Compy Prime since it's the only prime you can tame via knockout. It's also something you need to get one of the endgame tames. So with it unconscious, I gave it some prime meat, and it was tamed. I then decided to kill one just to see what the loot pool was, and I was pretty impressed. So I killed a few more. I also tried to see what kind of damage I could do to one of the Yeti Primes, and yeah, I should probably leave these guys alone for now. So I took down a Spino X instead. And then proceeded to look for the bag for 5 whole minutes, which I eventually did find. I also defeated a Prime Raptor, which I forgot to record, and he gave me a Prime Phoenix artifact. And then I tried to kill a Yeti outside the base. Yep. And I had him almost dead here, but I ran out of ammo. And as I was heading out there... I did eventually get his head, but at what cost? I needed to evolve Greg. That was the only way I was going to get anywhere in this run. So I murdered some gorillas for their heads, found this Apex Dragon Egg with no parent in sight, and then got the special Manticore part to unlock the X attack from a Prime Compy. And when I got back to base, I jumped on Greg's back with the needed items in his inventory and pressed X. Greg was now a child again. So I hatched the egg and looked at what I needed for the Prime Manticore, and the only thing that worried me was this. See, when NaturalCauzes played this, he only needed the Prime heads, which is much easier to do. With that thought, I hatched the Apex Ice Dragon and another Manticore, and upgraded the Enhanced Greg saddle, and then did something very stupid. I'll just let this play out.
Move.
Yep, that was really dumb. Luckily, when I respawned, not everything had been obliterated, so I had to tame some new Apex Dilos, and a new male Apex Dodo, and then I made a bunch of pygmy treats, taming a couple RGs, and I proceeded to evolve every single one of them. I also tamed a Dodic and evolved that as well.
Perfect.
I then crafted some more pygmy treats, tamed some Margies, evolved them all twice, and got another unique. I collected payment from a gilded birdman and went on another pygmy taming spree. But saved y'all the details. I of course evolved them all into primes, unfortunately not getting any unique dodes. I had one commit war crimes on his own species for levels, and while doing a meat run in the desert, this Apex Fire Manticore egg was just left unattended. I don't know what's going on with these, if they're bugged or not, and why the Guardians keep leaving their child, but I'll take the free eggs. I also found an enhanced saddle for the Dode, which would be absolutely key in getting that Deathworm head. I took out another Scorpion and got flashbanged by a Zombie Dodo Prime.
Oh shit, what the fuck?
I then attempted to fight a Mega Spider, but that didn't really work. Also, you might notice there's no game audio in this section. That's because for some reason I had it muted. Anyway, I gave up on the spider and got back home, fully upgraded the Dode saddle, and tracked down a Deathworm Prime Wild. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous for this. A couple minutes later arrived, and off we go.
Oh my god, we got it. Oh my god, we did it.
Yeah, I was pretty damn happy.
Holy shit.
So I also took down an Apex Manticore, and on the way home I saw this Giga with a tentacle coming out of it, so I proceeded to poke it, which was a big mistake. Yeah, that was completely my fault. And at this point, I had basically just given up, so I decided to just give myself the Mega Dimorph teeth because I didn't really see how I could progress without evolving Greg. And the run was already cooked, so I gave the teeth to Greg and pressed X. Greg was now a child for the third time. So I hashed him, and now he was a Ice Manticore Prime. And once he was a full-grown man, I took him out for a test drive, and yeah, with levels, this X attack will be crazy good. I also took down a couple Apex Wyverns, and then decided to fight this Mega Raptor, seeing as it only has 150k health. And came out victorious, but then apparently when you kill a Mega, it spawns fireballs that will one-shot you. So when it respawned, I tested out Doug's Ice variant, which was pretty strong, but I don't think it was strong enough. So I hashed another Apex Manticore, as well as the fire one I had, and seeing how cooked this run was, I evolved Greg, killed the Prime Compy, got deleted by a bee. Oh, there's another Apex. I actually hate this fucking game. That motherfucker spawned out of nowhere, dude. Evolved Greg again. Got eviscerated by a Giga. Oh, perfect. Excuse me, sir. Killed the Giga, which gave me a Kartra dossier for some reason. Crafted a Docs cloning pad and realized how expensive cloning these guys is. So when Greg was a full-grown man again, I set out to kill some primes, and well, that went about as well as you'd expect. Yep, I'm done. Well, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. And obviously, this was originally intended to be a 100 days video. However, for the sake of my sanity, I cut it a little bit short. That being said, when I do revisit this at some time in the future, we will do the full 100 days. Now, as always, if you like the video, drop a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.